Welcome to Love Lies Chronicles.
Support the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. I promise even more interesting stories. I don't even remember when it started, honestly. You don't notice rot until the smell becomes too strong to ignore. I guess that's the perfect metaphor for my marriage. At some point, something started to rot. Maybe her affection. Maybe my self-respect. Maybe both. Her name is Alina. We've been married for 6 years, together for 8. I used to think we were rock solid. Not flashy, not the couple who posts photos from Bali every month or fake giggles on Instagram, but real. Steady. I thought that counted for something. But over the last year, I started to feel like an intruder in my own marriage. You know that feeling you get when you're interrupting someone's private moment? That's how I felt every time I walked into a room she was in. Like I'd broken some invisible rule by just existing. And it wasn't just in my head. I know what emotional distance feels like. The subtle pull away when I tried to hug her. The sighs when I asked how her day went. The way her phone became an extension of her body. Always clutched. Always tilted just a little away from me. Still, I tried. I'm not a quitter. I planned date nights, cleaned the house on weekends, brought home little things I thought would make her smile. Croissants from that overpriced place she used to love. New candles in her favorite scent. Even that book she once mentioned in passing during an ad break. Each time, I got the same reaction. A soft thanks and eyes that didn't quite meet mine. She wasn't cruel. That was the worst part. If she'd screamed at me or cheated outright, maybe I would have found my spine sooner. But no, she kept it subtle. Just cold enough to make me feel unwanted, but warm enough to keep me guessing. That's the trick, isn't it? You don't have to break someone's heart. Just leave them standing in the doorway forever, waiting for the welcome that never comes. I noticed her makeup changed first. Used to be, she only wore her red lipstick and curled her hair for events. Now, it was her daily uniform. Full face of makeup, tight clothes, heels to pick up coffee. I joked about it once. You look like you're headed to a Vogue shoot, not Starbucks. She gave me that look. That tight-lipped smile women wear like armor when they don't find you funny anymore. I like looking good, she said. I dropped it. Then came the comparisons. You know, Jason from work says I have amazing taste in shoes. Leo's wife has this great idea. They go salsa dancing once a week. I wish we did stuff like that. Greg's always sending his wife flowers. So romantic, right? Each name was a little scalpel. Small cuts, bleeding slow. I was being whittled down without even realizing it. I tried to mirror her energy. Started going to the gym again. Put real effort into how I dressed. Got a new haircut. Not because I wanted to impress anyone else. I just wanted to feel worth something. And for a brief moment, I thought it was working. One night, we went to a friend's birthday party, and she actually laughed at something I said. That laugh used to be my favorite sound in the world. But then, the car ride home. You were trying a little too hard tonight, she said, scrolling through her phone. You don't need to compete with the younger guys. Just be yourself. Be myself. The guy she hadn't touched in 3 months. The guy she avoided eye contact with at dinner. Right. I started to suspect there was someone else, of course. I'm not stupid. I didn't want to believe it, but I couldn't ignore the signs forever. She changed her phone password. Started locking the bathroom door. Her gym sessions got longer. Her new friend group included a friend she never mentioned before, some guy named Drew. That name started appearing too often, always wrapped in casual phrases, like a parasite that didn't know it wasn't welcome. One afternoon, she left her phone on the table while she went to the bathroom. I didn't touch it. I wanted to, my fingers twitched with the urge, but I didn't. Not because I trusted her. Because I wanted her to feel secure. Because I wanted her to drop her guard long enough for me to see the truth in the open. And maybe, just maybe, because I was scared of what I'd find. You see, she wasn't just pulling away. She was playing a game. A sick little power game where she'd dangle affection like a treat above a dog's nose, just to see how high he'd jump. She wanted me to beg, to chase, to crumble. And I did for a while. I chased her shadow, begged for scraps, tried to fix what I didn't break. But something changed the day I saw her smirk when I canceled a night out with my friends just because she mentioned, not even asked, that she felt a little off that night. I stayed home, made her tea, rubbed her shoulders, and she gave me a look like I'd done exactly what she expected. Not surprised, not touched, just satisfied, like the puppeteer had gotten the strings just right. That's when I knew. I wasn't her husband anymore. I was a prop, a mirror for her to measure how powerful she still was. That night, I lay awake beside her, listening to her soft, even breathing. She wanted me to beg for her love. I decided then and there that I wouldn't even give her my attention. Not anymore. Not ever again. You learn a lot about a person when you stop reacting to them. I didn't announce my decision to Alina. I didn't stomp around or make some big declaration. I just stopped playing. Stopped asking for her time. Stopped trying to impress her. No more date night suggestions. No more begging for her attention through overthought gifts or awkward conversations she clearly didn't want to have. I pulled away. It wasn't a cold war. More like quiet abandonment. And at first, I thought she didn't notice. But then the power shift started to creep in. I'd say I was heading out and she'd ask, "Where?" Like she cared. I'd come back late from the gym and she'd do that casual, lazy glance at the clock. That part of her that thrived off control, it didn't know what to do with silence. With disinterest. Funny how people who starve you for affection suddenly panic when you stop asking for crumbs. That's when her tone started to change. "You're distant lately," she said one night. I was scrolling through my phone on the couch while she sat across the room painting her nails. I didn't look up. Just been tired. She let it go, but I saw the way her head tilted. Like she was trying to read me and realized the pages weren't open anymore. That night, after she went to bed, I sat in the kitchen and poured a drink. I hadn't had a real one in months, but I needed it. I needed to process what I already knew in my gut. There was someone else. It wasn't paranoia anymore. It was instinct, sharpened by a year of rejection and twisted affection. She had too many excuses, too many unexplained gaps in her day. And her energy, you could just feel it. Women who are loved by someone else glow differently. She wasn't happy with me, but she didn't act like someone deprived. No, she was full. Fed. And I wasn't the one feeding her. I didn't go through her phone. I still couldn't do that. Not because I was noble. I just didn't want my first real confirmation to be in a damn text message. I needed more than words on a screen. I needed something undeniable. So I watched. I started paying attention to her routines, the outfits she chose, the extra spritz of perfume, the sudden excitement about going to the gym even on days she used to skip. Her gym bag became a purse of secrets. She guarded it like a vault. So I tested something. One morning, I got up before her and told her I had an early meeting at work. I left the house with my gym bag and a granola bar, then doubled back 30 minutes later. Parked 2 blocks down and waited. An hour later, I watched her leave the house, dressed to kill. And not for a spin class. Tight black leggings, white crop top, hair done, makeup light but noticeable. She didn't take the gym route. She took the opposite turn, toward the business district. She wasn't going to lift weights. She was going to meet someone. I didn't follow her, not that day. Instead, I waited until she got back, acting as normal as possible. She walked in all flushed and breathless, holding a smoothie she'd probably bought just to complete the gym lie. She pecked my cheek with that fake cheeriness she saved for social appearances. That was the moment I felt it, the last string snap. No anger, just confirmation. She was gone. Had been for a while. I'd just been pretending we were still married. Still, I needed names. I needed details. If not for revenge, then for clarity. And as luck would have it, the name revealed itself through a friend we used to hang out with as a couple. Samira. Samira and her fiancé used to join us for dinner every few months. We hadn't seen them in a while, but she texted me out of the blue one afternoon. "Hey, everything okay with you and Alina?" Just that. A single line. I played dumb. "Yeah, why?" She waited 10 minutes before replying. "Because I saw her last week with Drew. They were together at that rooftop bar downtown. And it didn't look platonic." Drew. That name again. "They friend," she mentioned casually. "The gym guy?" The one whose name always hung in the air too long when she said it. I didn't ask for a photo. I didn't need to. Samira's not the kind to make up drama. And if she was texting me, it meant she'd seen enough to feel guilty for staying quiet. Drew. Now it was real. Now it had a face. Now I could start dismantling everything. I didn't rage. I didn't cry. I just went upstairs and folded the laundry while Alina scrolled on her phone like nothing in the world was wrong. And that night, when she rolled over and casually laid her hand on my back, the first time in months, I felt nothing. Not warmth. Not anger. Just a dull disgust that she thought she still had that power over me. I whispered, "I'm going to bed early," and left her there alone in the dark. She wanted me to beg for her love? She was about to learn what silence feels like when you've got something to hide. and I was about to let her stew in it. The silence was the loudest thing in our house. It didn't start with anything dramatic, just little things. I stopped texting her when I was running late. I stopped asking if she wanted coffee when I was making mine. When she walked into a room, I didn't turn to greet her. I just kept scrolling or reading or pretending to be busy. And the more invisible I made her feel, the more erratic she became. She tried to keep the upper hand at first, complimented me out of nowhere, told me I looked good in that old black Henley I used to wear back when she actually cared what I looked like. I gave her a half smile and kept walking. Next, it was faux concern. You've been really distant lately. Is something going on at work? I shrugged. Nope. Oh, okay. She waited. I didn't ask her how her day went. I didn't throw the conversational lifeline she was used to. She stood there for a second too long before walking away, confused. I started spending more time out of the house. Some days I worked late even when I didn't have to. Other nights, I hit the gym twice, or sat in my car listening to music, or just walked around the block until I knew she'd be in bed pretending to be asleep. It wasn't that I didn't want to be around her. I just wanted her to feel the emptiness she'd created, the vacuum she left me living in. And God, it worked. She began hovering more, asking where I was going, suggesting we do things together again, things I had suggested for months and gotten silence for. Want to go out to dinner Saturday? She asked one evening, leaning on the doorframe of the kitchen. Maybe that Thai place you like? I didn't even look up from my laptop. I have plans. She blinked. With who? I just stared at her for a long moment and said, someone who actually listens when I talk. Her mouth opened slightly, then shut again. No comeback. No sarcasm. Just a flicker of real discomfort in her eyes for the first time in a long while. She hated not being able to read me, and I made damn sure she couldn't. I kept my movements fluid and unpredictable. I stopped updating our shared calendar, turned off my location sharing. When she questioned it, I said I was reclaiming some privacy. Her reaction was priceless. Suddenly, the woman who used to guard her phone like Fort Knox was accusing me of acting shady. Oh, the irony. Her paranoia started growing. One night she came home earlier than usual, and I could tell she was trying to catch me in something. She walked around the house too quickly, like she was expecting someone else to be there. Her tone was brittle when she asked, "Did you eat already?" "Yeah. Alone." I smiled faintly. Should I have waited? She didn't answer. Just stood there staring at me, like she couldn't figure out who I was anymore. I wasn't trying to make her jealous. I wasn't seeing anyone, but I wanted her to think I might be. I wanted her to stew in that same anxiety she once spoon-fed me. Let me tell you something. When someone's used to having you wrapped around their finger, your silence becomes their worst nightmare. And then she cracked. It was a Tuesday night. I came home from the gym later than usual. She was sitting on the couch, knees pulled to her chest, wine glass untouched on the table. The TV was on but muted. The moment I walked in, she said, "We need to talk." I nodded slowly, pulled off my hoodie, tossed it over the chair. Okay. She looked down, twisting her fingers in her lap. I feel like we've drifted. And maybe I'm partly to blame. I raised an eyebrow. That was new. She was never the one to initiate anything resembling accountability. I miss us, she said. I know I've been off lately. Distant. And maybe I got caught up in distractions. But I want to fix this. That word, distractions, told me everything I needed. She wasn't going to confess. She was going to downplay. Rebrand infidelity as emotional confusion or a lapse in judgment. Maybe she'd even cry. Try to fall into my arms. Blame her depression. Her upbringing. Her hormones. I gave her nothing. Okay, I said calmly. So what do you want to do about it? Her expression flickered. She wasn't expecting that. She wanted a fight. Or forgiveness. Either one would have meant she still had control. But indifference? Indifference terrified her. I think we should reset, she said. Maybe go away together. Take a break from everything. Get back to just us. I chuckled softly, coldly. Just us. I repeated. Is that what you said to Drew too? That name. That one name flipped her whole world upside down. Her face went pale. What? I looked right at her. Steady. Calm. No accusation. Just truth. You know what's funny? I said. You worked so hard to make me feel like I was the crazy one. But the truth always finds its way out. She sat frozen. Stunned. Silent. I let the moment sit between us. Thick. Heavy. Unforgiving. Then I stood up and walked past her toward the stairs. I'm going to take a shower, I said. Dinner's in the fridge. I already ate. She didn't move. She didn't speak. And for the first time in a long time, I knew exactly who held the power in the room. It wasn't her. I didn't say another word that night. After the shower, I came down, grabbed a bottle of water, and walked right past her on the couch. She was still sitting there, wine untouched, legs pulled to her chest like a child trying to shrink from a punishment that hadn't been delivered yet. She said my name softly when I passed. I didn't stop. Let her sit with it. Let her try to guess what I knew and how much of it. That's the thing about people who lie. They're not afraid of what you know. They're afraid of what you might know. The gaps between your words are scarier than the words themselves. The next morning, she didn't go to work. At least not in her usual way. She hovered, lingered in the bedroom too long, tried to talk like everything was normal. I stayed quiet, calm, made my coffee, took my time getting dressed. Then I dropped the hammer. I want a divorce. Her breath caught like a hiccup. She laughed. At first, the kind of laugh that says I misheard you. But when I turned to face her, when she saw I wasn't bluffing or mad or posturing, the smile fell. What? No. Wait. You're not serious. I am. She blinked. Because of what I said last night? That wasn't a confession. I told you I was feeling off. I raised a hand. Alina, please, don't insult both of us. She started pacing then, arms crossed. We don't throw away a marriage over a mistake. You think other couples don't go through rough patches? You think they don't slip? Slip. That's what she called it. Like screwing another man and letting him grope her in public was just a stubbed toe. I didn't respond. Just sipped my coffee. Let the silence do the talking again. And that's when she pivoted, switched tactics like a cornered animal. You've been distant for months, she snapped. You basically disappeared from this marriage before I ever did anything. So if you think you're walking away the victim, you're not. You made me feel alone. You don't even touch me anymore. I didn't cheat, I didn't say you cheated, I interrupted. But you just did. So thanks. Her eyes widened, realizing she'd just confessed. Not directly, but enough. I left the kitchen. I didn't slam the door, didn't raise my voice. Just walked out to the garage, got in the car, and drove to my attorney's office. I'd already started the paperwork a week ago when Samira told me about Drew. Now it was time to finalize. I gave him everything, the patterns, the name, the timeline, even screenshots I'd started compiling from her social media. Photos that didn't include me. Messages that hinted at someone else without ever naming him. And the voice recording from the night before, where she called it a slip. He smiled thinly. We'll get her to sign. Trust me. And we did. 3 days later, I served her at home. I timed it for when I knew she'd be alone. The courier handed her the envelope and left without a word. She called me 10 minutes later. I didn't answer. She texted. Paragraphs. At first angry, then begging, then panicked. I let her sit in all of them. That night, I slept in the guest room. When I walked into the bedroom to grab a change of clothes, she was sitting on the edge of the bed, eyes red-rimmed, makeup smudged. Why are you doing this? She whispered. I looked around the room. You know, I used to love this space. I thought it was ours. But now, it just smells like lies. I said I'm sorry. No, I said. You said you slipped. I left the room and locked the door behind me. What came next was the unraveling. Mutual friends started texting me weird things. Alina posted something about betrayal on her story. Everything okay? Or is it true you're getting divorced? She's been saying you had a breakdown or something. And that's when I knew she was trying to control the narrative. So I responded with facts. I didn't post online. I didn't air dirty laundry in group chats. I just sent one text to 2 people who mattered, Samira and Alina's sister. It was a screenshot of Alina's message to Drew. The one where she called our marriage a cage and said, I need you to wreck me the way he never could. I didn't need to add a caption. The text said more than I ever could. Word got around after that. She showed up at my workplace one afternoon. Security called me. I had them turn her away. She emailed me, subject line, please, just talk to me. I didn't open it. I was done. I'd spent years trying to fix a woman who broke me by design. Now she could sit in the ruin she created, wondering why her favorite toy didn't dance anymore. The most painful part? I don't even hate her. I just don't feel anything anymore. And to a woman like her, that's worse than hatred. That's erasure. The house was never silent after that. Not because there was noise, but because every second felt like it was holding its breath, waiting for something to change. Waiting for me to snap, or yell, or finally break down and fall into the old routine of trying to fix what was broken. But I didn't. I was already gone, just waiting for the paperwork to catch up. Alina kept trying to rewind the clock. Little things at first. Making my favorite breakfast. Folding my laundry before I got to it. Leaving her phone face up on the table like that somehow erased what had been hidden inside it for months. She even started dressing down, traded in her curve-hugging gym outfits for old sweats, oversized shirts. No makeup. Like she thought if she stripped down all the theater, I'd see the girl I fell in love with again. But I wasn't blind anymore. I was just done. She sat me down one evening and actually said it out loud. I want to try again. I leaned back in the chair, watching her. Try what again? Us. There is no us, Alina. There's me. And then there's someone I used to know. She started crying. Harder than before. Real tears, not the performative sniffles from earlier days. And maybe a part of me felt the echo of sympathy, the ghost of what we used to be. But not enough to reach for her hand. Not enough to lie and say I still saw a future where I let her back in. Because this wasn't about one night with another man. It was about the slow erosion of respect. The way she played with power and control. The way she needed me small so she could feel big. And now? Now she had no one to stand taller than. And the silence left her looking tiny. Don't do this, she begged. I'll go to therapy. I'll give you everything you've ever needed. Just, please don't walk away. I looked her in the eyes. You never gave me anything, Alina. Not when it mattered. And now? I don't want anything you have left to give. She clutched her stomach like the words physically hit her. But still, I didn't raise my voice. Didn't gloat. Didn't ask about Drew. I already knew how that ended. He'd ghosted her the moment things got complicated. Probably moved on to someone else by now, someone who hadn't burned down their life for him. She reached out, grabbed my wrist. You can't just leave me. I gently pulled my arm away. You left a long time ago. I'm just following your lead. And with that, I stood up. Picked up my suitcase from beside the stairs, packed and ready. My name wasn't on the house anymore. I'd sold my share to her in exchange for walking away clean. No alimony. No court battles. Just severance. Peace. The most expensive thing I'd ever bought, and worth every cent. I didn't say goodbye. Didn't look back. Just walked out into the cool evening air, got into my car, and drove. A few months passed. She sent emails. A few voicemails. One dramatic letter, handwritten, no less. I didn't answer a single one. The silence that used to terrify me had become my sanctuary. And in that silence, I built something better. I moved to a new apartment. Got back in touch with old friends I'd been too drained to keep up with during the last years of our marriage. Started running again. Sleeping well. Reading books without checking the clock every 10 minutes because I was dreading going back upstairs to a cold, distant partner. And then one night, maybe 6 months after I left, I ran into her. It was a random Tuesday. Grocery store. I was picking up a bottle of wine and some fresh bread. She turned the corner with a shopping cart and stopped dead in her tracks when she saw me. I almost didn't recognize her. The glow was gone. She looked hollow, not tragic, just faded, like someone who used to know how to draw attention and forgot what that felt like. She opened her mouth to say something. I nodded once, polite, quiet, and walked past her. That was it. Not a word exchanged. And I know that killed her more than any speech or insult ever could. Because she wanted me to beg, to cry, to chase. But I didn't give her the dignity of my pain. I gave her something far worse. Indifference. And now, long after the affair was over, I was finally free.
Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.